Hello, and welcome to this week's yoga session. In today's class, we're going to take a closer look at using yoga to maintain the health of the abdominal organs, the intestines, the kidneys, liver, pancreas, all of these organs below the diaphragm. And we'll be using a couple of different exercises that are specifically designed for this area, especially the Uddiyana Bandha, the abdominal lift, and we'll use that as part of the three bandhas, but also as a standalone. And then that sets the stage for more advanced practice called Nali or the Nauli Kriyas. And there's three variations on that. Okay. The Nauli Kriyas are considered to be more advanced practices, and so we'll save those towards the end. And it's not expected to master those in an initial session. Most people say it takes about 3 to 4 months to really begin to get effective at the Nauli Kriya. Let's take a moment first so to get comfortable. Adjust your posture. Draw the flesh out from the sit bones. Tilt the pelvis forward, walk the sit bones back. Root through the sit bones, float up through the waist, through the ribs, through the chest, through the collarbones, broaden the shoulder girdle, release the shoulder blades, keeping the heart open. Close your eyes and turn your attention to the breath, breathing down deep into the low abdomen, the kidneys, the pelvic floor. Allow the chest to be passive and still. And as you breathe, allow the breath to be more fluid, more wave-like, and slower. As you slow the breath down, make sure, though, that you're still comfortable with the breath. There should be a sense of ease in the breathing. Relax your face, your forehead, your eyebrows, your eyelids, the eyeballs, the space behind the eyes, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. And then letting the head release and fall forward and hang. And slowly, gently, delicately begin to float your head around to the left or to the right. Not trying to stretch, instead just finding the edge of free movement. Free movement is the amount you can move the head before you meet resistance, and just floating at that boundary where you feel the most delicate resistance in floating over the surface rather than trying to push through it. As you're doing that, with each exhale, a letting go. Softening the face, the mouth, the tongue, the eyes. Imagining, hypnotizing yourself, letting the head get heavier. Then begin to, as you continue with the moving of the head, can begin to move the shoulders. Just circling with one shoulder and then the other, and then with both. And then coming back to center. Okay. So we'll start with Uddiyana Bandha, but I find that Uddiyana Bandha really works better when it is part of all three bandhas or yogic locks. So we'll revisit all three. I have a workshop on the bandhas that goes into more depth and detail, but just for the sake of today's practice, start with the Mula Bandha. Take the pelvic floor and contract and lift with a sweeping action. Start from the lower back pelvic floor, the sphincter area, and begin lifting. Move to the central floor of the pelvis, continue lifting, and then allow that contraction to sweep up until you're lifting just behind the pubic bone. So the entire pelvic floor is lifting, and then release. Try that 3 more times, but as a wave, starting at the back and sweeping forward until the entire pelvic floor is lifted and then released. This is particularly good for men for the prostate, for women for the pelvic floor. Helps to bring more awareness, control, health, increases circulation of blood through these areas. Now, at the very end of the Mula Bandha, as you're lifting, you'll notice that just above the pubic bone, you start to feel muscles contracting and firming up. And that is where we start the second bandha, the second lock, Uddiyana Bandha. And it starts there, and then we draw the contraction up to the sternum. Okay? And the way we make sure we're using the right muscles is, as we're doing that, we lift the chest. We lift the entire rib cage as we zip, draw the contraction from the pubic bone up to the sternum. So relax, and then start with the pelvic floor. From the back, sweep forward, and then as you lift the entire pelvic floor, feel the lower abdomen contracting, and then lifting the chest as you draw back here, hollowing the abdominal area. And then release, and then one more time. Sweep forward on the pelvic floor, jump the pubic bone, and continue the contraction up to the sternum as you lift the chest and hollow the abdomen. Try to bring the sides in as well as the front. And then relax. The final component is Jalandhara, the neck lock. Here we lift the chest, bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck, and let the chin and the chest move towards each other. So you aren't trying to take your chest down, or taking your chin down strongly. Instead, you're dropping the chin and lifting the chest to meet it. Give that a try. Slump a little bit, and then begin lifting your chest. Bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck, let the chin sink, and float the chest up towards it. Good. Now, let's try all three, starting with the pelvic floor. Lift the pelvic floor, and then zip from the pubic bone to the sternum. As you lift the chest, bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck, float the chest towards the chin, and hold. Now the next step is to do that on an exhale. So we breathe in, and then we breathe out, and then we pause. We lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, lift the chest, adjust the head, and then we relax and breathe in. So the entire movement is done during the exhale, or at the end of the exhale. So when you're ready, breathe in normally, breathe out, and then sweep pelvic floor, abdomen, chest, chin, hold. Whenever you feel the need to resume breathing, relax, and then breathe normally. 2 more times. Breathe in normally, exhale, and then Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara, hold, and when you're ready, release. And on your own, 2 more times. One last repetition. Now breathe normally. That becomes the foundation for the later work we'll do, and we'll do some strengthening abdominal lifts, and then we'll move into the Nauli Kriyas later on in the class. But now though, let's work with a twist, leading with the right shoulder, crossing the left hand, lift, expand, rotate, draw the right shoulder blade around and down, lift the chest forward and up, then adjust to make it feel healthy and pleasant, and then breathe into that. It's not enough to mimic the outward expression of a pose. You have to adjust until you fit it to where you are and to what's going on with your body. And when you get it balanced just right, it starts to feel good. Take another breath or 2. Coming back to center, switching sides. letting the left hand lead you around, crossing the right hand over. Lift, expand, broaden through the shoulder girdle, turning your head to look behind you, and then breathing deeply. 2 or 3 breaths. Left shoulder blade draws around and down, chest forward and up. And then coming back to center, circling with the ribs and reversing directions. And then rolling out the shoulders. So in addition to Uddiyana Bandha and the Nauli Kriyas, working the abdomen, there are a lot of other poses that are really good for all these abdominal organs, and so we'll look at some poses, most of them familiar to you. Starting off with what we just did, the twist, and as we twist, we're squeezing, like wringing out a dish towel. As we rotate, we're squeezing and forcing the blood and lymph out of the abdominal areas, so liver, kidneys, pancreas, all of those are getting squeezed and released. This increases circulation to all of your abdominal organs. Okay. Now we'll work into a side stretch. Take your right fingertips to the floor, float the left arm. As you take the left arm, take the shoulder blade and shoulder back, not the hand. The hand will go back, but let the hand follow the shoulder. And then take your chest forward and up. Flare the ribs on the left side. Don't collapse the right side though. Keep lifting through the right collarbone, even as you're flaring the left rib cage. Then walk your right hand away just a little bit. Push with your right hand to keep the left sit bone firm. Breathe into this, couple more breaths. Switch sides. Take your left fingers to the floor, float the right arm. Lift through both collarbones. Draw the right shoulder blade and the inner armpit back, and your chest forward and up. Flare the ribs. Walk the left hand away slightly. Push with your left hand, root through the right sit bone. Couple more breaths. Come back to center, circling. Again, this is a particularly healthy exercise, assuming that your lower vertebrae are healthy enough that this isn't causing discomfort. Reverse directions. Roll out the shoulders. And then while we're here, just straighten your legs out in front of you. Dandasana. Engage the quadriceps like you're lifting the kneecaps until your heels come off the floor slightly. Press down with the calf muscle. Reach the sit bones back. Root through the sit bones, lift through the chest, roll the shoulders back, together and down, chest forward and up, and then working here. Couple more breaths. Now from here, we'll work with opening the shoulders a little bit. Take your hands and put them behind you, walk them back a little bit, and then lift the chest forward and up, roll the shoulders back and down. If this is easy, walk your hips forward a little more until you start to pick up a little stretch in the shoulders. Couple more breaths. And then coming back, bending your knees a little bit. Hold on to your shins, and now working the abdominal core with your hands. Pull your chest forward and up, lengthen the spine, and just lightly pulling on your shins. Now, if you can use your hands less or even let go and maintain that position, lengthening the spine, fantastic. If you start slumping though, use your hands to help maintain that length. For those of you that find this is too easy, float the feet off the ground. If that's too easy, use your hands less or even let go. Again, if that starts to get a little easy, straighten the legs a little bit. If you get into trouble, bend the knees, hold the knees, or put your heels on the ground. Primary goal is to maintain a nice, long, erect spine, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the chest forward and up. And we're trying to get a nice workout. You may be feeling this more in the quadriceps, or you may be feeling it more in the abdominal area. Both are good areas to feel. Take a breath or two. Cat-cow when you're ready to rest. Coming to table. Hands shoulder width, spread the fingers, knees hip width. Start each new movement with the pelvis, finish with the head. Lift the tailbone, drop the belly, open the chest, look up. Finish breathing in. As you start breathing out, tuck the tailbone, round low back, mid back, upper back, tuck the chin. On your own. Opening the front of your body, of the torso on the inhale, and then expanding the back of your body on the exhale. One more time. Back to neutral. Now we'll combine this movement with the bandhas. So on the inhale, you release the bandhas. Lift the tailbone, drop the belly, open the chest, look up, breathe in. Now start with Mula Bandha. Lift the pelvic floor as you start to lower the tailbone. And then as you start to round the lower back, add Uddiyana Bandha, hollow the abdomen. And then as you move up through the shoulders, engage the neck with Jalahandra. Remember, lengthen the back of the neck, draw the throat back and up, release the chin down, move the chest towards the chin. So release on the inhale, and then from the tailbone, through the pelvic floor, through the abdomen, up through the sternum, through the neck, the three bandhas. On your own now. Release the bandha as you breathe in, engage the bandhas as you're breathing out. One more time. Back to neutral. Now relax and play, improvising a little bit, just undulating, rolling, repositioning the hands, feeling your way into new movements, sensations. and back to center. Now lift upright for camel. We'll use Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara in support of camel. So start with the pelvic floor. As you lift the pelvic floor, you should feel the pelvis tilt slightly. And then from the pubic bone up through the sternum, lift the chest as you hollow the abdomen. Bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck, lift your chest towards your chin. Holding all of that, quarter turn to your right, right hand to your hip, thigh, or foot. Float the left arm. Twisted camel. Couple more breaths. Try to maintain the locks, the bandhas. Come back to center. Take a moment to relax. Breathe deep. Second side. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Hold. Rotate. Left hand reaching back to hip, thigh, or heel. Take another breath. Cat cow. And back to neutral. Tuck the toes, walk the hands in, lift the knees, standing forward bend. Both knees bent slightly. Sink the belly, lift the tailbone until you get a stretch in the back of the legs with the knees still bent. Now emphasize the left leg by bending the right knee slightly and shifting the stretch into the left leg. And then switch sides, move the stretch into the right leg. Go side to side a few times. Pay attention to the quality of the sensations you're creating in the muscles in the back of the legs, and make sure it's a healthy, pleasant sensations. Now balance both sides. Take another breath or two. And then when you're ready, roll up, buckle the knees, stack the vertebrae as you come back to standing. Stand with the feet hip width, outer edges parallel, spread the toes wide. Vinyasa Sun Salutation. Bring your hands to prayer position. On an inhale, sweep overhead. And then if you want to, engage the bandhas. Lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, float the chest, bring the base of the throat back, shoulders back, lift the heart. Finish breathing in. On the exhale, come down part way, just to wherever you're comfortable. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, get the hips under you, and then straighten up, float the arms overhead, breathe in, engage the bandhas, and then release into your forward bend. 5 or 10 more repetitions. Couple more repetitions. On your next overhead stretch, hold. Add a side stretch. Lift the left heel, flare the right ribs. Lift the right heel, flare the left ribs. A little bit of a back bend. Supported forward bend. Take a breath or two. And then release into a forward bend. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. And then roll up, buckle the knees, stack the vertebra, coming back to standing. Now we'll work with Uddiyana Bandha as an abdominal lift for same way you would do sit-ups to improve strength here. So our focus will be a stronger contraction. And the position we're going to use is with the feet hip width, the knees bent, and then the hands rest on the thighs. And you're going to point your index fingers towards each other and take your thumbs to the outside of the thighs. Okay. That is going to have an effect of opening your upper back as opposed to closing. Now, in this position, you'll look up, you'll breathe in, you'll exhale, and then you'll hold without breathing in, and you'll lift the pelvic floor and then lift the abdomen from the pubic bone up to the sternum. And this time lift strongly enough that you feel like you're getting a workout in your abdominal core. Then release the abdomen, look up, and breathe in. Try that 2 more times. Exhale, hold your exhale and work. And then release and look up and breathe in. One more time. Try to pull the sides in, back and up, and the front, back and up. And then release, come back up. So it's called an abdominal lift. If you're new to this, do the same thing. If that became a little bit easy for you, we'll exhale, lift, release, release, and then we'll breathe in. So when you're ready, coming back into your position, taking your thumbs to the outside of the thighs, knees bent, round the back slightly. Breathe in normally, exhale, hold the exhale, engage the bandhas. And then release, engage the bandhas 2nd time, release a 3rd time, release, look up, breathe in. Take a normalizing breath. And then try that again. Breathe in normally, complete exhale, hold the exhale, work the bandhas twice and 3 times. And then coming back upright. Okay. Now the next step towards practicing Nauli Kriya is to hold on to what we already have, the Uddiyana Bandha, and then to add to that a contraction of the abdominal rectus, the abdominal muscles that run vertically. So the Uddiyana Bandha is using the transverse muscles. We know that because if we lift the chest as we draw the abdomen in, the abdominal recti have to release to let the chest lift. So to pull the stomach in, you have to recruit a different set of muscles, and so we'll recruit the transverse muscle to draw that in. Now if you keep the transverse drawn in and then you engage the abdominal recti, this begins to massage all the abdominal organs, and so this is called the Nauli Kriya. Now to start with, by the way, this will take for most people 2 or 3 months or longer, practicing a little bit on a regular basis, but it's considered one of the healthiest exercises in yoga for life extension, for staying healthy and vital. And Swami Rama used to say more fire in the belly, meaning do this exercise more. And it stirs up the creative, fiery juices that invigorate us, give us energy through the day. So, from our standing position, we're going to come down as if we were going to do the Uddiyana Bandha. Thumbs to the outside, hands resting on the thighs, just above the kneecap. Now, to learn how to engage the abdominal recti deliberately is difficult. So what I want you to do is with your left hand, reach under and feel on the right side below the ribs, the abdomen. Now, if you just relax and let your right arm carry your weight, so you just kind of sink in, let the right arm support your weight of your upper body, and if you press in and probe around, the abdomen should feel fairly soft and relaxed right now. Now, try to pull your right knee towards your chest and resist with your hands. So your hand's pushing down and the knee is pushing into the hand. Imagine you were doing a sit-up and you were trying to touch your elbow to your knee. Okay? And see if you can feel that abdominal area get hard. Feel that muscle engage. Then relax. Just let your arm carry the weight. And then isometrically resist the hand against the thigh. And see if you feel that area firm up. Switch sides. Engage isometrically. Relax. Engage isometrically. Relax. Now both hands at the same time. Push your hands into the knees and then try to touch the knees towards your chest towards the knees, and let the hands resist any movement. Okay, good. So that's basically it. We do Uddiyana Bandha, we hold Uddiyana Bandha, and without letting go of it, we engage the abdominal recti. Now we can do it superficially. You may be able to do it superficially this first time, but again, it takes a few months to really become proficient at this. So let's give this a try. When you're ready, bend your knees, round the upper back, place your hands on your thighs. The entire exercise is done on an exhale. You breathe out, then you work, and then whenever you need to, release the bandhas and breathe normally. Breathe in, exhale, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Hold the 3 locks. Then push your hands into your knees into your hands, and try and engage abdominal recti. Now whenever you feel like you need to breathe again, release and breathe normally. Now there's 2 variations on this, Vama Nali and Dakina Nali, the left and the right side. So let's try the left side. As we do this, you're going to isolate the left arm, pushing the left hand into the thigh, pushing the left knee into the hand, and you'll let the right side be passive. Then you switch and you push with the right hand and let the left side be passive, and you just go back and forth, left, right, left, right. And this is how we begin to learn how to massage the abdominal organs in a sweeping action. So let's give that a try. Breathe in normally, complete exhale, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara, the 3 locks, hold the locks, then on the left side, engage, and then the right side, and then the left, and then the right, and left, and right. Remember, whenever you need to breathe, release and start breathing on your own. Those of you that finish early, come back up and stand and just notice how you're feeling. And then we'll do the basic symmetrical Nali, engaging both sides simultaneously. This will be our last repetition. So when you're ready, come back into position. Breathe in normally. Complete exhale. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. And then press both hands into the thighs. Try to engage abdominal recti without letting go of the Uddiyana Bandha. Keep the abdomen, the transverse muscle pulling. Keep the chest lengthening, even as you engage isometrically with the abdominal recti. When you're ready, release, and then come back up to standing. Take a breath or two. One of my favorite yoga teachers once told me that if you had to give up all of your yoga practice except for one pose, that it would be a toss-up between that and shoulder stand. Okay? If you had two, those are the two he would do, shoulder stand and Uddiyana Bandha, followed by the Nauli Kriyas. Now let's take a moment to widen our stance and come into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Draw your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis. Lengthen through the lower rib cage. Hand on the thigh, the shin, or the floor. Roll the shoulders back, keep the heart open. Try to experiment with spiraling your leg, adjusting your pelvis, moving away from any straining, unpleasant, unhealthy sensations, any pinches, until everything feels either neutral or pleasant. And that is our starting point. And then from there we can begin to explore, perhaps going a little deeper. Don't think in terms of deeper into the pose, but using the pose to go deeper into the sensation. Create pleasant, healthy sensations and then move into them. 2 or 3 breaths. Switching sides. Turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in. Spiral the right leg. Shift your hips to the left. Tilt the pelvis. And then experiment with where the center is, where the weight is in your feet, with spiraling the legs more or less, with shifting the hips, tilting, shifting, repositioning, until you've eliminated any discomfort, any pinches, catches, or brittle, straining sensations. Then begin to think about maximizing any pleasant sensations. Three or four more breaths. Come back up, forward bend. Take a breath or two. And then coming back up, and we'll repeat Trikonasana, triangle pose, on the first side. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. This time though, we'll use Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, and Jalandhara, pelvic floor, abdomen, and chin lock, but in a more subtle way, not as strong as if we're trying to work the muscles, but more as a firming and as a way of maintaining awareness. And we're going to use that to support our posture in the pose. So start with the pelvic floor, lift from the back all the way up to the pubic bone, and then begin lifting your chest as you draw the abdomen in. You should feel the tailbone dip slightly as you engage Uddiyana Bandha, the low back lengthening as you hollow the abdomen. As you lift the chest, bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck. Now, hold all of those actions, but let go of maybe 70 or 80% of the effort, but don't drop. If you drop, re-engage, and then let go of 80% of the effort. So you're holding all three, the pelvic floor, the abdomen, and the chin position, but with minimal effort. Now take that with you into the pose. Coming into triangle pose. And then just notice the difference, how that feels. And then drop the pelvic floor, drop the belly, release control of the head a little bit, and notice any difference. And you should feel quite a bit of difference in the energy of the pose. So re-engage the bandhas, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Let go of 80% of the effort, but maintain just a firmness and intent. When you're ready, switch sides. Turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in. Engage the bandhas, hold that, take that with you into the pose. Four or five breaths. And then come back up. And Virabhadrasana 2, this will be our last standing pose. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Bend the left knee. Widen your stance if you need to. Bringing your knee directly over your heel. Square up shoulders with hips. Straighten the back leg, strengthen the back leg. And then lift the pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara, and then just turning your head, looking out over the left. Float the arms, 4 or 5 breaths. One more breath. Switching sides. Turn the right foot out. Turn the left foot in. Bend the right knee. Close or widen your stance as you need to. Square up your shoulders with your hips. Straighten the back leg, strengthen the back leg, all the muscles gripping the thigh bone, and once you've done that, sink that back hip. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Rotate the head, flip the arms, drop the shoulders, open the heart. You should notice when you engage Uddiyana Bandha strongly that the tailbone dips slightly and the low back lengthens and expands. This protects the low back from injury. Three or four breaths. One more breath. Turn the feet pigeon-toed and release. 3 or 4 breaths to relax. Breathe deep, stretch the exhale into a sigh. Couple more breaths. Coming down to the floor, and we'll take a few minutes of the back roll just to relax. Either use a back roll if you have one. If not, roll up your blanket. Remember, the more you roll the blanket up, the bigger it gets. Unroll it to make it smaller. In each position, we want the roller to be just the right size so that we can relax comfortably. Start with the roller in the upper back, centered on the shoulder blades or even maybe a ½ inch higher. You can support the neck with your hands, or if it feels better, you can let the head hang and extend the arms overhead or out to the side or anywhere in between. Breathe deep. Use the exhalation to relax. Every 4 or 5 breaths, reposition by lifting the hips, pushing yourself over the top of the roller just an inch, setting the hips down, relaxing into the new position. And the roller should have shifted down into the middle or just below the middle of the shoulder blades. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. Reposition, lift the hips, push and roll over the top of the roller an inch or 2, set the hips down. Should be at the lower edge of the shoulder blades now. Continue in this manner until the roller gets to the hips. Take a couple more minutes. Working your way down the length of your spine, 1 vertebra at a time. for 1 more minute. Take a few more breaths to finish. Lift your hips, remove the roller. Set the hips down, hug both knees, rock side to side. Bring your feet to the floor. Interlace your fingers behind the base of the neck. And a pelvic rocking, but including Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Start just with the movement. Press the kidneys into the floor until you feel your head getting light on the ground. Then relax, and then begin to arch the low back so the tailbone is digging into the floor. The small of your back is arching off the ground, and you'll feel the back of the neck lengthening. And then again, press down with the small of your back and curl the tailbone up. And then arch and breathe in. Come back to neutral. Now, on the exhale, engage Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. So when you're ready, start with Mula Bandha, breathe out, lift the pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha, press the kidneys down, pull the chest up towards your chin. Then release, and as you breathe in again, arch the back. So on the exhale, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. On the inhale, release and breathe in. 2 or 3 more times. And then back to neutral. Now, working abdominal recti. We're going to first engage the transverse muscle to help protect. So draw the abdomen in, hollow the abdomen, press the kidneys down, try to pull the intestines up under the rib cage, and then curl your upper back off the floor a little bit. If this is too easy, lift your feet. If that's too easy, straighten the legs a little bit, just enough that you feel like you're getting a workout. Now you can add a little diagonal engagement. Pull one knee towards the opposite elbow, and then try to take the knee and the elbow past each other to the sides. So we're getting a little bit more twist to help engage the transverse as well as engaging the internal and external obliques. When you're finished, take a breath or two just to relax. Finish out our abdominal core workout with a twist, using the twist to engage the transverse muscle and give it a good workout. So in this variation, the arms are outstretched, palms down. Straight line from your left hand through the shoulders to the right hand. Bring both knees to your chest. Keep both shoulders on the ground at all times. And the movement is small enough that the shoulder doesn't come off the ground. If you feel the shoulder lifting, it means you move the knees too far. Come to center with your knees, breathe in. Take your knees to the right, turn your head to the left, and make sure the left shoulder stays on the floor. Swing the knees over just far enough that that becomes a little challenging. Then come back to center, breathe in. Switch sides as you breathe out. On your own, working with your own rhythm of breathing. If this is too difficult, make the movement smaller. If it's too easy, straighten your legs a little bit or a lot, and then continue. One more time either side. Hug both knees. Rock side to side. Take a breath or two. Coming onto your stomach. 1 repetition of Cobra, 1 repetition of Downward Dog. Bring your arms out in front of you. And then using your arms, lift the ribs, reach or walk the rib cage forward until you get the maximum space between the sternum and the pubic bone. So you feel the skin stretching a little bit on the lower abdomen. Then set the ribs down as far forward as you can. So keep lengthening until the ribs touch the ground. Hold there. Bring your hands back behind the shoulders. Lower your head a little bit. No, you're not to the floor, but just a little bit forward. Shrug your shoulders. Lift the shoulders. Roll the shoulders together. Draw the shoulders down the back. Press the tops of the feet into the floor until the knees lift. Reach the chest forward. Now, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Let those 3 things be more important, and how far you lift secondary. Lifting just enough to make it interesting. Take a breath or two. When you're ready, downward facing dog. This will be our last work for today. One more time, engage Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Let the head be neutral though. when you decide you're ready to slow down, bring the right knee forward. Slide the left leg back. If you want more stretch, take the right knee, lift it, move it back and out and set it down. Then continue walking the left leg back until you pick up a stretch from the right hip, outer thigh or buttocks. Be sure you aren't feeling any strain in the knee joint. Try to create a position where any sensations you feel are healthy and pleasant. And then, if the muscles relax, work your way deeper. 5 or 10 more breaths on the first side. Take a breath or two. And then switching sides. Come back up into downward facing dog. If you need a little bit more work for today, hold. And if you need more work, use this time to summon up warrior energy. And see how much energy can you burn through and how quickly by engaging every fiber. Those of you that are ready to start slowing down, bring the left leg forward. Slide the right leg back. Position and reposition until the front knee feels absolutely safe and you're getting a healthy stretch in the left hip, outer thigh, buttocks. Then breathe and use the exhale to soften. Breathe deep, stretching the exhalation into a sigh. Five or six more breaths. Take a breath or two to finish. And then coming on to your back. And we'll do a little twist. We won't hold long, but we'll use it as a position to pandiculate in. If you aren't sure, just watch. Roll my knees one way, turn my upper body the other way, and then with my legs, with my whole body, expand and contract. And yawn. So give that a try. Use instinct to tell you when to switch sides. The less you think, and the more you focus on feeling, the better. When you're finished, come back to center. Take a few moments to get comfortable for Shavasana. Feet spread evenly. Arms either side of the hips. Move the arms away from the hips far enough that the armpits feel open. Draw the shoulder blades together. Lengthen the back of your neck as you set it down. If your low back feels vulnerable or uncomfortable, bend both knees or support the knees with a pillow. Take a couple of deep, complete breaths. And then gradually relaxing the breath, letting the body take over. Allowing the body to breathe a little slower, softer, deeper, more fluid, more wave-like. But above all, letting any effort to breathe fall away. Try to find a way where the body is breathing and you're just getting out of the way. In the same way that when you yawn, the body takes over. Relax your face, the eyes close lightly without squeezing the eyelids together. Relax the eyebrows, the eyeballs, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. Fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. Feet, ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Loosen hips, relax the buttocks. The low back, the belly, the kidneys, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders. Back of the neck and soften the throat. Jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. Especially the eyeballs, the space behind, beneath, and around the eyes. Let the temples grow soft and hollow. relax the scalp and the crown. Slowly deepening the breath, maybe even yawning, stretching. Twisting, bending. Roll to one side. Come up to a comfortable seated position. Reach the sit bones back, draw the flesh out from under them, tilt the pelvis forward. Float up from the waist, sternum, collarbones, broaden the shoulder girdle. Now, engage Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara, but with 1%. Starting from the tailbone, sweep up and just barely lift the pelvic floor. So subtle you aren't even quite sure if you're lifting or not, but you think you are. And then lift the chest as you firm from the pubic bone up to the sternum. Float the chest up as you bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck. Release the shoulder blades, open the heart. Now notice, scan the pelvic floor, the abdomen, the chest, the head. Notice if you are working any of those areas more than 1% and ease up just slightly. Notice if you've dropped any of those areas, and if you've dropped it, engage, recommit, and then soften back down to 1%. Close your eyes and take 4 or 5 breaths. Just paying attention to the quality of Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Then drop the pelvic floor. And if you drop the pelvic floor, notice how everything collapses. And then notice how that feels if you sit. Notice the difference in the energy, the prana, moving through the mind and through the body. And then one more time, lift the pelvic floor 1%, firm the abdomen, float the chest, bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck. Scan. Any area that's working more than 1%, soften. Any area that is dropped, re-engage. And take 2 or 3 more breaths. bringing your hands together over the heart. I'd like to thank you for joining me for today's practice. And remember, you can use the locks, the bandhas, vigorously as a workout or to massage and improve health and vitality. You can also use them as a tool for improving posture, at which point we use them maybe 5% effort. And then you can also use them as a way of moving prana, energy through the mind, through the body, and awareness and attention. And when I'm doing that, I use them about 1%, much more subtle. And I find that all three levels, using them for physical, using them for postural, and then using them for mental focus, all three supplement and work well together. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.